I'm suing Noah Crane for $8,800 for wrongful dismissal and going through my laptop and invasion of my privacy.
Okay, how is it that you met him? Let's talk about that.
I met him 3 years ago. I was doing business classes. I was also a part-time waitress. I always see Mr. Crane having client meetings. He would bring 7 people, 10, just depending. One day he brought a party of 7. They were very decisive, but I was doing the job for a while, so I just kept taking their order without having to write it down, memorized it all. He asked what I was into. I told him business. He gave me his business card. I really didn't think much of it, but I called him and he took me to lunch and he told me that
he wanted to hire you?
He said,
and hire you in what position?
As an executive assistant. I told him that I wanted to be a financial analyst. He said he could help me if I become an executive assistant.
So you started working for him how many years ago?
3 years ago, Your Honor.
All right, but then you started dating him.
Yes, I started
When
dating.
did that happen?
After 2 years of working for him, we started dating the 3rd year. It was 3 months in. We were going to a business trip in Paris, and we just got caught up in the...
Oh, well, it was Paris. That's all you had to say. It was Paris, you know.
Got caught up in the city of love, and we ended up kissing.
So did the rest of the office know that you were dating?
I didn't want anyone to know we were dating.
Did you want anyone to know you were dating her?
I honestly didn't care, Your Honor.
Okay, so you didn't want anybody to know, and then what happens?
And then after that, he just starts getting very pushy, very shovey. He could not separate our romantic life from our work life.
Yeah, that's why this is kind of dangerous. But anyway, who saw this coming? They couldn't. All right, go on. In what way was he unable to separate your romantic life from your work life?
Sometimes he would just give me pet names at work. He'd be saying baby and sweetheart, and that's not what I want to be known as at work because the other employees will notice, and I want them to know.
And you don't think the other employees figured it out?
They probably did, and that made me very upset as I wanted to keep my job, and I wanted to keep my personal life personal.
Was there any other way that he was blurring the boundaries?
Yes, he actually sent me, we went through text, if I'd like to give this as evidence, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I was telling him it was going to be hard to keep our relationship a secret.
Sierra, don't worry about it. People find out, they find out. We're together. Let's just keep it professional at work. Dinner tonight? Yes. Stay at my place tonight? Did you feel like he was being particularly bossy in the relationship part?
Definitely, Your
Like
Honor.
a boss would be?
Yes.
Okay. And according to you, Mr. Crane, she was blurring the lines. Tell me how you feel she was blurring the lines.
Well, Your Honor, she began to get some sort of attitude a couple months into the relationship, saying that she didn't like to be bossed around by her boyfriend, but I am her boss.
How long did you date?
Only 3 months, Your Honor.
And then what happened?
And after that, I told him that I just wasn't happy and that I'm just not feeling the relationship anymore. And he took it he was very upset, Your Honor.
Now you've broken up. You've been dating for 3 months. And when does the thing we're in court about happen?
So I start dating someone else. His name's Mark. He's a professional trainer in Santa Clarita. And we are having a good time. He's very attractive, very hot. And he does this thing where he sends me nude photos. At first, I thought it was weird. But then it started becoming our thing. And we would send it back.
Yeah, it's not just your thing. But go on.
We would send it back and forth to each other. And they would be on a private folder on my personal laptop.
So you saved them too?
Yes.
And would he save yours?
I'm not sure, Your Honor.
No.
No
risks there. You just like to live on the edge, don't you, Sierra?
Yes, I do.
No risk to anything. Go on.
Yes, Your Honor. Living on the edge.
Yeah. All right. Go. How old are you?
I am 23.
Okay. Well, if you're ever going to live on the edge, that's the time. Go on. Don't let my children hear that. Okay. Go on.
Who here is happy that we did our share of bad decisions when no cell phones were around? I understand you are young and the blood is boiling and there's this new man in your life that you're in love with and you're sending your private pictures across the internet. What can possibly go wrong with that? At the same time, I can see when her ex-boyfriend, her boss, decided to go through her computer. There was this important meeting, he needed to send email, and he didn't have the contact information for the person. So he texted her, he called her. There was no answer, although she is his personal assistant and she's supposed to be there for him at all times. she decided to step out to discuss her travel plans with her new boyfriend. And this is exactly when her boss decided to go and help himself to her files. But guys, don't get me wrong. He had no business going through her computer. So please don't say that I'm victim blaming here. No, he had absolutely zero business going through her stuff. But at the same time, a smart person would hide those kind of files a little bit better. There is a function that's called hide folder or hide pictures, but at the same time, it is her personal space, and she's free to do with it whatever she wants. Let's go back.
And one day Mark comes to my office and he calls, he says, well, I want to talk about this first vacation we're having together. I figured stepping away for the office for 5 minutes wouldn't be no problem.
You don't see a potential hazard of having him come to your workplace where you just were dating your boss? Like, these things just don't, there's no red flags for you. Are you colorblind?
No.
Like, just nothing is a red flag for you. So you go outside, and you're outside how long?
I'm outside for 5 minutes, maybe you're
And what happens?
And I'm just talking to him about our vacation, and then after that, I sent him on his way. I said, we'll meet up for lunch.
Okay, and then you go back inside, and what happens?
And then I see Noah in front of my laptop just swiping.
Okay, now stop 1 second. Is your laptop a personal laptop?
Yes.
Or an office laptop?
It is a personal laptop,
Do
Your
you
Honor.
use it in the office for work?
Yes, I do. Because I was not given a work laptop.
Okay, and so you see Noah in your office doing what?
I see him on my laptop scrolling through the nude photos that my boyfriend sent me.
Your time to shine, Noah. Okay, Mr. Crane.
First off, I was not scrolling.
Okay, why were you in her personal laptop in a folder looking at nude photos of her boyfriend?
That's a very good question. So the truth is, I was having a business meeting with some very good, important clients, and we were expecting a new client to jump in via video. And I needed to send him the link through his email so he could have the information and hop into the meeting. I did not have the email address with me. That is Ms. Woodman's responsibility to keep all the contact information. So I tried calling her. She did not answer. Text her, nothing. So I went to her office to get the information.
Do you have any proof of the texts?
No, I do not.
Do you have any proof of the calls?
No, I do not.
All right, and then you went into her office.
I went to her office. I saw her phone was on her desk next to her laptop. I looked at the laptop, and her organization is very odd. So I saw the first thing that said contacts, and I clicked on it.
Contacts?
Yeah, contacts. And I clicked on it, and there was just a numerous bunch of lewd photos of her so-called boyfriend.
Okay.
And I was obviously shocked because this type of stuff should not be in the office.
In the office? But why don't you give them an office computer so that their personal stuff isn't in the office?
Well, we discussed that when I first hired her, and she said that her own personal laptop would.
Well, then I guess you know that her personal stuff is in the office, right? Because you know that you're having her use her personal computer for business stuff.
Your Honor, I also...
We're not talking to you, are we? Go on.
So I see these lewd photos, and...
How many were there?
I don't know. I saw some naked stuff of a dude.
1, 10, 40?
Enough to make me be shocked.
Okay, 1, 10, 40?
I would say probably at least 30.
30. How would you know they're 30 if you weren't scrolling?
Because I'm guessing. I don't want to look at these photos.
Well, then why are you? How do you know they're 30?
Because when I clicked onto the folders, she had multiple folders named contacts. I didn't know which one was which. It's her laptop, so I clicked the first one.
Do you have a screenshot of your desktop?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Can I see it?
Thank you.
Okay. So there's one folder that says contacts, and there's another folder that says contact with a heart.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
And so you chose the one that says
chose the one with the heart.
contact singular with a heart to look at.
Yes, I did not realize that it was a heart at the time. I thought it was a red dot to indicate the importance of it.
Noah, really?
Do not talk to him directly. You are in court now. The time for that has passed.
They kind of brushed over the fact whose decision it was to use her personal computer at the workspace, but that would be interesting to see, because if that was her decision, in computers you can set up different spaces and you can have a designated workspace where only work files go to, and keep your personal life personal. And I'm sorry guys, again, don't hold it against me, but if you decided to use your personal computer at work, maybe don't put those kind of folders right on a desktop for everyone to see. That's your space. Everyone who's working past you is going to see that folder and maybe ask questions. So my thinking is either hide it better, don't use your personal computer at work, or create a separate space for workplace where you only put your work files on your desktop and only those are visible. And then you can log back in your personal account and have those files accessible as well. Let's go back.
You open up the one with the heart.
Yeah.
And then you look through 30 photographs of her boyfriend
No,
naked.
I did not look through them. I saw them enough to indicate what it was.
All right, so she comes in. What happened when you walked in?
When I walked in, I was very shocked, and he looks at me and laughs. He says, "Oh, you're that kind of girl."
And you said?
And I was just so pissed off that I just started yelling at him. There were some F-bombs thrown. I said, "You have no right to judge me. How dare you look through my personal laptop? You had no right." And I just got very upset, Your Honor, and I just...
Were there other people listening?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
At least 10.
Okay, and what was their reaction?
Their reaction was more just hiding, more just like, "Don't look," more like, "Oh my God."
Right. All right, so then tell me about when she walks in. When she walks in, are you in flagrante delicto looking at the pictures?
No.
How would she know that you looked at him if you weren't?
Because they were still up. And
Oh, so they were still up.
Yeah.
Okay.
She walks in, and I thought because we dated, I would just make a simple joke saying like, "Oh, you're into this types of pictures." And she took it very personal.
What exactly did you say?
I looked at her and went, "Oh, so you're into this kind of stuff."
Did you say you're that kind of girl?
Yeah.
And you just don't understand what the problem is? For a boss to go into a personal computer, see private pictures that are none of his business, and then judge her and shame her? You don't see the problem?
No.
Okay. I figured. Okay, so then she starts screaming at you, and now it's a scene at work.
Yes.
Right? And then what do you do?
Well, she starts screaming and cursing at me, and by the way, there were 10 people. 7 of them were important clients that I was trying to bring to the business because we had the board meeting, and they could clearly hear this screaming mad woman just going off, and that was clearly going to hurt my business. So I had to make a decision and decide to fire her.
Okay. Now, she's not an at-will employee because you actually make her sign yearly contracts, correct?
Yes.
And she's suing you for the rest of her contract because, in her estimation, her reaction was an appropriate reaction to your bad. Like you're saying, well, she did a bad thing. She screamed at me. By the way, it didn't end up costing you any clients, right?
Thankfully not. They were able to give me another chance.
So once again, there's no consequence for the man, but there's a bunch of consequences for the woman, right? Okay. She would like me to order you to pay her the remainder of her contract because her feelings are that all she did was respond appropriately to your bad. What say you to that?
Well, I have the contract with me that she did sign. She'd like that?
Okay, let me see the contract. I presume that you're calling my attention to this contract may be terminated at any time during the term of this contract if the employee fails to substantially carry out the terms of the contract. Is that what you wanted me to look at?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. So how did she fail to substantially carry out the terms of the contract? The episode between the two of you was 100% of a personal nature.
Well, she was on the clock. She had to be there for me when I needed to get client information.
I'm so done. Mr. Crane, listen to me. It is very risky to date your underling. But when you do, it is even riskier to go through their personal computer, see naked pictures of their boyfriend, and then comment on it and try to shame her. Okay? These are risky things that you're doing. And she's not even an at-will employee. She's someone with a yearly contract, and you fire her that morning. None of these things look like a red flag to you either, huh? $8,800 verdict for the plaintiff.
I had to learn the hard way, never mix business and personal relationship. And if you guys had a relationship at work that worked out to your benefit, that you guys end up being married with kids and lived happily ever after, I would love to hear your experiences. So please put it in the comments below. And going back to this particular story, since you find yourself going through personal files of someone you used to date, maybe keep it professional, especially if you have clients waiting for you. Then don't say a word, ask for the information that you were looking for, apologize, and go back to business. That was absolutely out of line. How dare you? First of all, you never gave me a work computer. I had to use my personal computer to do business. And now you went through my files and shaming me for this? Not good. So I'm 100% agree with Judge Millian in her judgment, but what do you guys think? Do you agree with that as well? Please put it in the comments below, and thank you for watching.